We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things, episode 33, SUNSfan, with syndereN.
How are you doing today, syndereN?
What's happening?
Hello, syndereN.
Hello, help. Oh.
You are looking fabulous today, if I do say so myself.
Thank you. I don't look like death, or?
You look refreshed, and you know why that is, syndereN?
I don't know.
Because the schedule has now changed per your request to be half an hour later. So for those that watch this live, 1:30 a.m. Pacific and 10:30 CET. So thank you, everyone. Yeah. We really appreciate it. Would you like to get started with? It's been a couple weeks actually since we've done a normal podcast, so we do have some things to kind of go over. But first and foremost, and we got some reviews. Take it over. Which ones you want to do? Enjoy.
I'll do the last two, but you want me to go first?
No, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
You go first.
Okay, This Is Epic is the name of the amazing review by Capri Sun from Great Britain. As someone who really enjoys Dota but doesn't care much for esports apart from watching TI, it's nice to have a platform which keeps me up to date with what is going on in the scene. Just kidding. I copied and pasted that from one of the other Wet Wipe reviews. Wet Wipe reviews. That's actually I love that. I'm going to have to use that. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. How do SUNSfan arteries still operate when they are full of Coke and an assortment of fast food chain sauces? It's true. And how come syndereN eats out at restaurants, drinks alcohol, eats all types of food, and has a social life like a normal person and is still somehow less cultured than SUNSfan? Also, he named his dog Onion. Keep up the good work, gentlemen, and Godspeed. I've never heard anyone say that you're less cultured than me. I don't agree with him.
This person is just... It's okay. There's plenty of misinformed people in this day and age. There's nothing wrong with it.
Fake news is what you're trying to say? Okay.
Yeah.
Next review by Arctic Owl from Australia, The Calm versus the Storm. I started listening to SUNSfan back in the Han days, and even though he's turned it down a little bit, there's still the same bedwetting stories and raw informed opinions that I find highly relatable. Conversely, syndereN has a soothing voice, which is optimal for sleep and wonderful Dota dreams. His analysis provides an equally, albeit differently informed opinion, which has the power to change a stubborn mind. Cheers for the hard work, guys. Awesome reviews. Thank you, friends.
All right. I got 5 stars from Drive by Baptism, and the title is 5 stars. Hey guys, I just wanted to say how listening to SUNSfan talk about Dota has inspired me. Okay, talk about playing Dota has inspired me. Really? I'm a 5K player, and knowing SUNSfan plays in my bracket has really motivated me to get to 6K, so I will never have to play with SUNSfan in ranked. Thanks for podcasting down for us, syndereN. Okay, there you go. Now it makes sense. I was like, really? Really? Top Notch Dota 2 and Whatever podcast, 5 stars from HDJ from Philippines. I should mention Drive by Baptism was from Canada. Hey guys, I always listen to your cast during my daily drive, and you guys are always fun to listen to. But for crying out loud, syndereN, In Bruges is a great movie. Watch it, please. You get 5 stars, but I'll downgrade this to 4 if you don't watch it by episode 32. Uh-oh. And can you guys do a segment comparing NBA teams to Dota teams? Yes, SUNSfan can definitely do that.
God, I'm sure we'll get many complaint letters, unfortunately, as much as I would love to do that. But yes, thank you for the reviews, friends. Some general news, syndereN. Obviously, like we said, the time of the podcast has changed a bit. I want to say a personal thanks to everybody that reached out via Twitter, social media, Reddit especially. You and I got a bunch of threads over, I guess this was a couple weeks ago at this point, for our casting for the We Play qualifiers. First time I've cast in a long-ass time, especially with you. Last time, like we said, was during Captain's Draft, the minor, and it was a lot of fun, so appreciate the support, guys. It was a lot of fun for me, syndereN. I don't know about you. Were you miserable?
It's okay.
Okay, just wanted to check. Another.
No, it was really fun. Hey man, dude, you can't just stop talking about it. Then I look like a dick. You need to give me a chance.
I want you
to recover.
Look like a dick.
Okay. No, it was good fun. I like when we cast. It's just a different style, and I understand that it's not necessarily everyone's favorite because we're a little bit more chill and casual about it. Even though it was a DPC event qualifier, we were still, just having fun, talking some off-topic stuff once in a while, cracking jokes. But for me, it's really refreshing to cast like that. And at the end of the day, for me, I think the most important thing is that it's entertaining, right? I think a lot of people had fun. So I
Yep.
think if we have fun, there's a good chance others have fun too. Unless we're just being stupid. Which,
Well, some people don't like to have fun. We've established this
true.
time and time again. It's just people play League of Legends, for example. Who knows? Also, A to Z will be starting up soon. I'm putting this out on the record, so syndereN will actually do it with me. I'm forcing
we're
him.
recording tomorrow.
Yes, we're recording tomorrow. Not sure if I'm going to live stream it or not. We'll see. Either way, you can expect us to do a bunch at a time and then release them over, like, I don't know, weekly, maybe bi-weekly. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out later. And then the last thing, Cinder, which I know a lot of people are really excited about. Remember when I said that our number one pick from last year in the NBA draft for the Phoenix Suns was suspended for 25 games?
Yeah.
He's coming back today.
Oh, wow.
I'm very excited.
Shannon, I'm going to have to interrupt you for a second. We have a visitor.
Oh, my. Is that Onion? Oh, Onion. How cute are you? This is for video. I can describe it for the audio listeners. It's a dog, and it's named Onion. Oh, that's so cute. Is it a he or a she? I forgot.
It's a he.
Oh.
Say you're a he. Say you're a he, Lloyd. Do it.
Is he a good boy?
Hello.
How hard has the training been? Keep us up to date with this stuff.
I would say, as far as the dog goes, Susie takes care of like 80% right now, probably. It's fair to say. So
Yeah.
the majority
No
of the
surprise.
training is her. Do you want to tell him how hard the training has been? She hasn't showered, so she will not.
That's the precursor to answering that question, is showering. Well, that's very cute. I'm glad you have a dog named Onion. That's very cute, and you take it out for walks. Have you picked up its poop yet, syndereN?
Yes, consistently.
Oh, consistently. That's good.
Of
I'm very
course.
happy for you. You guys.
Oh, he's sniffing the table, Shannon. He loves it.
Oh,
Okay.
Does that mean he
All right,
likes
that was
me?
that was a good little visit, buddy. But the podcast will last forever if you don't go away.
Is this the introduction to your dog, or have you shown it on stream before?
I have shown it on stream before.
You couldn't even give us the premiere to your dog? You serious?
Oh, couldn't what? Sorry?
You couldn't give us the premiere to your dog? After how many praises everyone's giving you for the name of the dog? Come on.
Everybody loves it. It's actually kind of funny. Like it's a split the room kind of name.
Yes.
Some people love it and some people think it's terrible. It's kind of funny. There's nobody who's like, that's an okay name. You know, either they think it's the greatest ever or the worst ever. So that's pretty fun.
I mean, if I didn't know the meaning, I would think it's fine. I was like, oh, it's a European name. You know,
Loy.
Loy. Loy. It's close with Loy, right? I always put like this Arabic spin on it. Anywho, let's move on.
Good for Ayton. I'm cheering for Ayton personally.
Thank you. Yes.
Don't whatever you did, don't do it again. I already forgot. He ate or drank or laxative something he wasn't supposed to.
He laxatived it up, no doubt about it. All right, so Dota had a bunch of patches. We don't need to go through line by line, obviously, but the three that have come out since we've last talked about it are 7.23 C, D, and E. Before we get started, though, do you like that they're coming out with so many patches? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? This is like
I think
more
it's
recent.
necessary.
But think of it like when 7.00 came out, how fast did they patch it this much? Like, was it this often? I don't think so.
I feel like yes, but it's hard to remember. I mean, it's already, how long ago is that now?
That's
2
true, yeah.
years, 2 years and 4 months. It came out in
Right.
August in 2017, right?
And there
Or
were
was it
some.
September? Anyway.
There were a lot of micro patches that were just balances for Snapfire and Void Spirit that aren't even in these patch notes, which is really mind-boggling to me. I understand it's for DPC, but at least put them in the notes. Anywho,
Yeah.
anything in 7.23C that you wanted to discuss? I think each one of them have something significant.
I think one of the things worth talking about in general is how items get removed, right? Because I think it's kind of the talk. One of the big talks right now is how many items are actually going to stay in the game. I believe they've removed 3 in total now, right? They removed Elixir, which happened in the C version. They removed something in the E version, I think.
Was it 3 or was it 4? Third
I
Eye
remember
got removed in
4.
this one.
Third Eye got removed, and there's definitely one more, at least one more that got removed.
Yeah, chat's saying 4. It is 4. I just don't remember what they are at this point.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, that's already indicative, right? That we can't remember which items got removed.
I mean,
Um,
62 items,
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
I want to say the biggest patterns overall, instead of going into detail with every single patch, I'd rather just try to encapsulate all three, if you don't
Okay.
mind,
Yeah,
into
that's
like a
fine.
conclusion kind of thing. Because what we talked about was that we've talked about this in the podcast, that there's these objectives on the map that there's going to be a lot of focus on now, right? With like the outposts and fighting for bounty runes. But what they've basically done is, I think there's been a lot of negative feedback that there's way too much forced fighting. So the outpost experience got nerfed. The outposts now only work every 10 minutes instead of every 5 after they get activated. There was a nerf to XP talents that we talked about. They're actually all removed now, which we should definitely mention. We were theorizing that would
Shocker.
happen. So
Yeah.
that happened too. There's a little bit less experience for kills. They removed the Tome of Knowledge at minute 10. There's only 1 instead of 2 now because, again, power creep, I think, was a problem. People were just getting too strong too fast. Like, the flow of the game was really quick. And
It was Heroes of the Storm.
yeah, people were talking about how position 5 doesn't even exist anymore because, like, everybody just got neutral drops. Everybody got more gold experience. So they had to slow down things a little bit, including that passive gold doesn't increase with your hero level anymore. So the GPM has dropped off as well. Like, it's just tried to really slow things down a bit. There is actually a live tournament right now happening in Singapore. The One Esports Dota 2 World Pro Invitational Singapore. There you go.
That's a great name. Damn, I
And
wish I had thought of that first.
so far in the first day of games, it seems that brawling is still really powerful. The teams that are
Heroes of the
dominating,
Storm.
the teams that are
Let's
winning are
stop calling it brawling.
fighting a lot.
Please refer to it as Heroes of the Storm from now on.
The teams playing Heroes of the Storm are doing great in this Dota tournament right now.
Thank you.
It seems like if you try to play greedy carries or if you try to play slow, it doesn't necessarily mean you auto lose, but you fall behind, and coming back is difficult. And the teams that are good at fighting and are very active and pick heroes that are tailored for that seem to be having success right now. So the meta, I think, will develop a lot in the next month. There's probably going to be more patches to make it more varied because, in my opinion, right now the patch is actually not that. What's a good word for it? There isn't that much variety. There probably is in terms of what teams play, but when you look at what actually wins, I don't think there's enough strategic diversity right now that is interesting. So that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's. Oh yeah, of course I should mention the 2 shrines got removed. That definitely deserves some attention too. The 2 bottom shrines have been removed.
Yeah. What do you think
again,
about that?
probably. I think it's good. I honestly wouldn't mind if shrines got removed entirely. But I think the reason they're doing it is to, again, there's so much stuff on the map that I was like getting almost cluttered. So I think they wanted to remove something away from it. They wanted to spice things up a bit with how you put your lanes. Like, now you're choosing if you want a lane for your shrine lane. You're adding more value to taking the bottom dire tier 1 tower, for example, which for the longest time has been a super low value tower because, yeah, we lose this tower, but we still have a shrine that we can TP to and control our triangle with. Now that triangle is gone, suddenly the Radiant has a really big incentive to get aggressive down there. And then conversely for the dire, it's a bit different in the bottom area where they would take that tower anyway. Most games, the safe lane towers always fall really fast.
Do you think it affects laning stage drastically in terms of the fact that, like Radiant, for example, don't have a shrine? The safe lane doesn't have a shrine to go to, while Dire does. Does that play a huge impact, or is it more like the mid game control of the jungle / Roshan for later?
I've still been thinking about like if it matters more or not for Radiant or Dire in the bottom area. I think overall, the conclusion I've come to when thinking about it, like the short version about what happens for Radiant and what happens for Dire, is that Radiant will have, since they were already losing that tower anyway in most games, they're going to lose more access naturally to their own safe area of the jungle in the Radiant, like in the bottom part, whereas the Dire will lose an area they weren't used to losing, but the tower that is guarding is also harder to take. It's a bit technical why it's harder to take the Dire offlane tower than the Radiant safe lane one. But it's definitely, I would say, overall a Dire buff, I think, even though the area they lose was harder to control for the Radiant before. Man, this is getting way too convoluted.
No,
isn't it?
it's interesting to think because I didn't even think about the triangle, so to speak. I was more thinking just laning stage, and then now that Dire, the Roshan advantage that Dire used to have back in the day, and how that's kind of metamorphosed.
I mean, as far as laning stage, I think both the safe laners and the off laners were using shrines consistently together, right? Like most of the time, both sides. So I think what matters the most is that now there's one lane that has it. So do you choose to put your carry in the off lane? Because minute 7, he will have a shrine. Can that be a big enough difference to consider playing aggro tri-lane or aggro dual lanes, or, switching things up a little bit? So that I personally don't know if that 7-minute shrine will be given that much value, but we should, Did you mention the shrine activates at 7 minutes? I think we did. That was also a change. It used to be 5. Yes. It is now at 7 minutes and then every 4 instead of at 5 minutes and every 5. And that's another good change because everything was happening at 5 and 10 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So we're spreading things out a little bit instead of having this 5-minute clutter, 10-minute clutter all the time. So I think the changes are really good, and I think it was necessary, and I think there will be more patches coming up after this tournament.
What did we get to for 7.22? What letter? Do you remember? Was it like...
Was it I?
It was probably, it was something like
or H.
I think that this patch will be the... What is it? How do you even describe it? The longest? I don't know. It'll be the
highest letter.
The highest letter in the lowest letter in the alphabet, technically, if you go down, whatever. This will be a big one because they are coming out with patches left, right, and center. And half of them, like we said, were nerfs to the new heroes that weren't even version numbers. But let's quickly wrap up with the XP talents that were removed. We talked about this, like you said, many times. I mean, I don't think either of us are actually surprised. I'm more surprised it took till letter E to get rid of them. And at first I was like, oh, maybe they're just trying to think of like some really cool talents. But then they're all like super generic: 2 mana regen, 30 damage, health. Oracle apparently is the only one with an XP talent with a talent that gives intelligence, which is really random. Why do you think that is, out of curiosity?
Earthspirit used to have one. Skywrath used to have one. They just got changed, and I don't know why.
Weird.
Don't know.
So
I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be allowed to have int talents on heroes. That doesn't...
I think we can quickly, again, talk about the XP talents, how it affects the game. Because the reason it's gotten rid of, like we've talked about in the past, is it was a no-brainer at this point. If you don't take the XP talent, it was just wrong. Because you're going to get level 30 if the game goes just an average amount of time, for the most part. The heroes that I will miss it on, syndereN, specifically, are Weaver. Oh my god. The XP talent of Weaver was so freaking good. And what was it? Tidehunter is the other one. Core Tidehunter. Carry Tidehunter. Rip.
I think the problem, like we talked about, when heroes are good because of their XP talent, I think whatever you give them in return when they lose it needs to be good, right? I'm looking across these heroes that lost their XP talents, and most of the talents they got are just not good. Like, most of the heroes got hit pretty hard, I think. Weaver got 8 agility instead of 35% XP gain. Terrible. Like, huge drop off. That's so much worse. Arguably, across the entire list, I'll just highlight the ones that I think are really good and the ones that are really bad, and then we can leave the rest.
Sure.
Shadow Demon, really good. He got 100 cast range. Awesome on that hero. That's a really good talent. And in the past, I think I might have actually taken it over XP gain if I was given the choice on level 10. I could have taken this talent over 30% XP, actually. It's very, very nice to have cast range on that hero. So great talent for him. I think there was one other hero, Abaddon 10 strength. That's pretty solid. It's a tanky frontline hero, whether you play support or...
Before you start tell me when you get to the bad list, because I want to say mine first.
Okay. I think that was the good list. There's nobody else where I'm like, no, they're okay.
Yeah, nothing game breaking for sure. I think
Beastmaster
the worst
plus 30
talent
damage is decent.
Who?
Beastmaster plus 30 damage sounds pretty good.
It's solid.
It's pretty good.
I will say the worst one is Keeper of the Light, 6% spell land.
100% agree.
How much damage does that actually? I haven't done the math personally, but
right. A fully channeled Illuminate is 500 damage. So 6% increase is 30. on a 5-second channel spell, which you
Very
generally
good.
don't max as Coddle anyway. So when you're level 10, it's not level 4 most of the time.
And then Blinding
On
Light.
Blinding Light, which deals 200 damage on level 4, I think, still. It is an increase of 12 damage? Yeah.
So,
12
okay,
damage.
let's say they stick with Spell Amp for this hero. How
Right.
much would it have to be for it to be good? Now, there's a fine line, because I know this sounds stupid, but if you make it too high, people will start buying Dagon on this hero, and it'll
Yeah,
actually be
that's true.
good, right? So,
Yeah.
what is the number, in your opinion?
Well, what his other talent, I think, is 25 move speed. It's 20 or 25, which I would take every single game. Zero exception. I just don't see any appeal in this.
Until Spell Amp is what number? 40% Spell Amp. Would you take it?
Yes.
All right. There's a number. 30%.
10 or 15. 15 probably is enough.
Really?
I don't think 10 is enough. I think 15.
Okay.
I would take on 15.
Would you itemize differently with 15% Spell Amp?
I like going late game E-Blade on Coddle in a lot of games anyway, because it's you already want the Ghost Scepter. It's a good setup for saving teammates. You have cast range talent on level 15, so you have really good range. That might make it appealing for me to make a Dagon after that, perhaps in some games at least. I could see it, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm like, I think when Valve changes talents, it's because the other talent in the row gets picked more than like 95% of the times. And I think that will be the case for this talent. It's just not good. And it was the same with the XP talents, right? In the end, they got picked every time. And it's not, the talent system isn't interesting if the choice is always the same. It's supposed to give you different paths to take with your hero and make the game more diverse. And some talents just haven't managed that for, honestly, a year or 2 years even.
So there's probably a bunch of heroes that just suck ass now without the XP talents.
I would expect a drop off of win rate of like 2 to 3% for these heroes based on losing XP talents. The one that it was really good for, like Weaver. I think Weaver will suffer from this. And I could be wrong. He didn't get any buffs, right? To compensate at all. He just lost a 35% XP talent basically.
But now you get to have that Shikuchi damage that no one ever picked, syndereN.
Yeah. I mean, at least that talent is good. So now you're gonna have the same problem.
Solid.
No one will take 8 agility.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, I just think some of these talent choices are not they're not what I would hope, because we were talking about how I would love for, ultimately in a way, I would love that all is a stretch, but most passive talents just get removed. And by that I mean the ones that just give like flat health or flat damage or flat stats, because I think there's so much creativity that you can do with talents where they like change spells or change cooldowns or whatever it would be. Like a great example, Shadow Demon's talent with Soul Catcher creates an illusion when the target dies. Like this kind of path, you can take every hero down and be creative, and it's just not as fun with
what do you
plus
think
20
of
move speed as something like that, right? So.
Theory crafting just random ideas here, because at this point, I feel like this patch is amazing for me because we can talk about anything and nothing's crazy anymore. My ideas are no longer crazy. Slax's Ags for Lycan is in the game, for God's sake. So,
thanks for that.
I would love to theory craft like crazy stuff. What do you think about a talent? I'm trying to think if there's one in the game like this. I think Venge might become the closest. A talent that unlocks a new ability. So you have one of 2 talents to choose from. Both of them give you a new ability entirely. So the one I'm thinking of is Venge. Obviously unlocks technically abilities for her illusion. I don't think there's any other hero that has something like this. Could be wrong. Nothing comes to mind initially.
Does Earth Spirit have the?
Ooh, that's true.
He can grip allies on 25, right?
Right, but is that an Ags thing? I
think
can't
so.
remember how they changed that anymore.
The Ags thing
used
is
to
the
be.
one where you turn an ally to stone.
Right, that's the ability.
Or an enemy, yeah. So the Ags gives the ability, and Geomagnetic Grip gets new utility, basically. That's like the closest I could just think of off the top of my head. But it's still the same spell, so I don't know. But that's another great example of a cool talent, right? Where
Invoker, Cataclysm. That's a good point.
Oh, true.
That is one.
But that is not a talent anymore. Now it's on the Ags. But it used to be a talent.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Forgot they changed that too. God, so many changes. Okay, so what you're saying is my idea is amazing, and they're going to implement something, right?
I have absolutely no problem with people getting I just think it's incredibly difficult to balance. That's the problem. But there's other stuff in the game right now that seems really hard to balance. So,
The game's not balanced right now, so
no,
that's the good
I don't
news,
think it
right?
is. I guess, yeah. Then you can do all sorts of stuff.
All right, so before we move
yeah.
on to the next topic, which will be less and less about Dota, what are your thoughts now? We're just going to do a weekly update on your thoughts on the patch. Are you starting to like things more, less, neutral? Are you not liking certain things that you didn't expect to not like? Anything at all?
I think I'm liking it more than I did before. I think the items are one of my complaints was that the items were very different in quality, and I think we're slowly getting there. Like we've rebalanced some things, some items that were broken either got removed or changed. So I'm not sure what I said last time, if I said give it like a couple of weeks or months to balance itself out, but we're already getting there. So I'm more positive with every patch, basically. I think kind of everything that has happened in these last 3 patches I agree with. So
have you played in a 70-minute
Sounds good.
game yet?
No. I think the longest I've played was 50 something maybe. Yeah.
You still
70-minute
haven't.
games are very rare.
They're
really rare, and I think they're especially rare the higher skill the players get, because
that's true.
in the highest brackets, people are better at playing advantages. And throws obviously happen all the time in all brackets, but 70-minute games require something really special to happen, actually, in very high brackets.
I can't wait.
Even in the previous patch, it was very uncommon to have 70-minute games.
I cannot wait to have a 70-minute A to Z challenge game. I am so ready.
That could absolutely happen, I think.
I am so excited for that to happen. Anytime there's a techies on the other team, I have a mental block. I can't finish the game. I just can't do it until I get Fallen Sky. That's the only time I can finish the game, syndereN. It's happened every time. It's an auto game win right there. I think that item is still the best of tier 5s or whatever the tier it is.
Yeah, I think I agree.
So good.
Without having seen any of them in play.
In theory, I agree, but I reserve the right to completely disagree with you later on.
Do you agree with the thing I said about passive talents? Like, because I know the vast majority of talents are passive, and I think it's just natural that it's going to be like that it's just stat increases, because there's a limit to how creative you can be, right? If you had to come up with 8 talents for every hero, I'm not asking for all of them to change spells. I just think we could get more, right? Maybe every hero has at least 1 talent that affects a spell. You know,
doesn't every hero have one?
Only? Do they?
I'm pretty sure every single hero has something.
Okay.
At least 1.
Well,
I'm
then every
positive.
hero should have 2, because we should have more.
I think every hero has 2 as well.
That
Easily.
affects spells.
Yes. I would be shocked if that's not true.
Let me boot up Dota.
Oh, here we go. You're going to go through every hero? No. You just can't be wrong, huh?
No, it's fine. No.
Well,
if that's true, that's better than I thought it was, honestly. I feel like there's so many heroes where you just take... Are you right? Are you right about this?
I'm always. When am I ever wrong? Honestly, syndereN.
Okay.
But one thing I will say is I agree with you that it's just more interesting if they're not passive skill. When you say passive, it just means stuff that's not relating to their skills or in something.
Yeah, I mean, obviously spell upgrades are also passive, so maybe it's a bad word, but I think.
I think some things like cast range I'm totally fine with, but I agree. Like generally, like just a couple stat points or damage is pretty boring. I always like to see these talents that are a little bit more intuitive or more interesting, I should say. Okay, shall we move on to the next topic? Have you finally succumbed to the fact that I am correct?
We will just say you're right so that we can move on.
Yes. Thank God. Don't tweet at me if I'm wrong. Okay, this one's an interesting one. So I don't know if you read this, but Gorgc, the streamer, I actually watch his stream quite a bit. He's very entertaining. He got therapy on Twitch live from a guy named Dr. K. His Twitch thing is Health Gamer GG. I found this very interesting. I watched a good chunk of it. I don't know if you got to see any of it, syndereN.
I know that it's there. I know what it is, but I didn't watch. And I don't really plan to. I don't know. There's nothing that draws me to it. I understand like that it can be like how to say it. It's a bit weird because for me it's very interesting. I'm sure it's really interesting, but I don't know if I would like to watch this. And I'm sure other people think of it the same way, that this is maybe a bit too close.
Too personal?
It's his own choice, obviously. Like he chose to stream it. Right. He did it willingly. There's nothing nobody got tricked here into anything they didn't want. I could say for myself personally that if I was getting therapy, I would never live stream it.
No, I agree.
Which I
Yeah.
do not disagree with his choice. Like, it's completely up to you if you want to do it or not. But I'm not really drawn to watch it because I don't know if I would feel very comfortable watching it. I feel like I would probably switch it off without knowing. Like, right? Maybe it's a
Right.
lot.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I just don't know. I have zero problem with people watching this. I have zero problem with people enjoying it or learning something from it, especially if it's educational. That's great because mental health and this kind of stuff is obviously super important. I personally didn't feel the appeal to watch this.
So
But
on the other
from
hand,
what I've heard, it was really good, which is great.
yeah, I didn't know what to expect because a lot of this, like if you just told me this story, just the headline, I would say this is a publicity stunt for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't lie, this definitely, I think, helps Gorgc from a public perspective. Not that he needs it, public perception. This is definitely like a notch in an increase in his MMR in terms of public perception. But he talked about some very personal stuff about how, again, I'm not going to get into too specific, although it is technically on the internet, so it probably doesn't matter. But, things that come with streaming full time, some depression as it relates to it, how that ties into things that have happened in his past. It was just very interesting. I've never had therapy myself, and it made me think, hey, maybe I should get some therapy. Like, therapy sounds amazing, but of course, I don't think I would do it online. I don't think I could. Ooh, that sounds brutal, but it came off very well. I thought Dr. K, as they call him, I thought he did a very good job. I don't know. He seemed very genuine in nature, and I was surprised how honest Gorgc was. Honestly, some of that stuff, like the fact that he came out about his depression and things of that nature, takes some fucking balls, So in that respect, I think that's really cool to see.
Yeah, you just gotta hope when it's about stuff like this. You gotta hope that it was the right choice for him, right? Because,
Right.
like you said, it's a big thing, and you want this therapy to be successful and impact you in a good way. And doing it live on stream, I feel like it's a bit of a gamble because, given how toxic Twitch chat can be at times, you could easily imagine that a subgroup of people would just start mocking for it, which is completely insane to even think about. But it could have ended up in a bad way. It sounds like overwhelmingly the response has been super positive, and I haven't really, when I've been checking out his stream, I haven't noticed a difference in like chat getting super rude or anything to a different degree than before. So
Right.
If anything, maybe it's got a little softer, which is great because I'm sure that helps. I think a big part of his stress with being a streamer as well is managing chat. It's just an extra layer on top that's really he probably talked about this, I would imagine, chat's impact.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I mean, let's briefly discuss
it could
that.
It could have been a miss, right? It could have been a miss, but thank God it wasn't, because if it wasn't, he would have regrets about that on top, right? Why did I stream this? So,
Well, I think the thing that I loved about it more than anything was it's kind of an educational thing for a lot of the people that aren't in the scene, that are viewers, that have no idea what it's like to be a full-time streamer or full-time anybody, personality, whatever you want to call them, that there are different challenges that come with it. Obviously, you have, like, for example, I have a great life. I'm in my fucking pajamas literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, that's not true. I sleep without them on. But the entire year, I'm in pajamas.
One time you're not wearing your pajamas is in bed.
Yeah, that's true. That is weird now that I said it out loud.
Amazing.
But,
fantastic.
The job does come with a lot of, negatives, of course. Toxic community at times. Like, I haven't read YouTube chat or YouTube comments in a very long time, unless I'm specifically looking for something that would help us or help me make better content. But it drains you. The thing I like to say, how these celebrities, like these movie stars, get into trouble sometimes, and you think to yourself, how are you so dumb? How do you do that? Like, how do you make such a dumb mistake? Or how do you, like, throw your whole life away with this stupid mistake? And it's actually a pretty easy answer. Being famous fucks you up. Now, I'm not saying that you and I are technically famous compared to, like, celebrities, but if you take a small slice of that, let's say it's 5%. I still feel the impact that 5% has, and I can't even imagine what it's like for the people that are on top. Like
Yeah.
I have no idea how you function as a human being. It's
And I mean,
impossible.
on top of that is also just all the misinformation, right? And things being blown out of proportion. Because it's one thing what you do, but it's also about what you didn't do that people think you did. And
Yeah.
that one definitely, I think, especially with like gossip and stuff, just gets blown up to a proportion that it was never at.
Imagine the
reality.
the headlines when you named your dog Onion. Just imagine how much shit you'd have gotten for that.
Way to get a front page, man.
That's right. Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah.
We usually don't talk about this kind of stuff on the podcast, but I thought it was very interesting and very like I've never heard of anything like this before. The online therapy sessions, you know.
Me neither.
Very
I mean,
strange.
like the more I hear about it, the more I feel like maybe I should check it out to see what it like, just to get the insight into the whole, just the way it was run and the way it, how to say, just the technicalities of it, if you will. Like what you said, it's really interesting to see how this thing takes place and what people talk about and how they run this kind of stuff. But again, for me, there's this little thing in the back of my mind that is like, I don't know if I should be watching this. And I'm
It
sure a
does feel
lot of
very
people will
personal.
understand that. But
Yeah.
it feels a little intrusive, but obviously it is the person's own choice to put it online.
Yes.
But for example, let me give you a great example here. Let's say somebody in my on my street had open therapy, and I could just walk over and take part of it. I could sit down and hear their therapy for 30 minutes, and it would be allowed, and it would be, I can't find the word right now. It would be encouraged. I don't think I would do it either, right? If there was, or a good friend of mine had therapy, unless they specifically asked me to because they wanted it, I don't really think I would be there. I would love to talk to them about it, but I don't think I would want to be in the situation.
syndereN, I would want you to listen to my therapy session just because it makes you uncomfortable. How does that make you feel?
It sounds like you need therapy.
Yes. All right. Well, one day I'll be able to afford that. I mean, that's the cool thing. Yeah, you have to do it online, but if it helps you, that's great. And you don't have to pay money for it, I assume, because I've heard that therapy is a shit ton of money. I don't know if that's actually true, but
That's true.
That's my assumption. Okay. So let's move on to the next topic. And I cannot wait to talk about this.
Okay. I'm
LGD
ready.
and EG have new logos. Yeah. Let's do it one by one. Let's start with LGD. If you guys listening on audio have no idea what we're talking about, just Google it. LGD logo, do you like it?
I think it's the worst logo remake I've ever seen.
LGD?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me why. This is shocking coming from you. I was not expecting this.
Because, I don't know, like, I get apparently every team nowadays want to reinvent themselves with a new logo or whatever, but
right.
I think you can change your logo where you still stick to your core. At least the thing they did is the colors, I think, are the same, largely red and blue, right?
Yep. And white.
But
red, white, and blue, syndereN.
Yeah.
That's as Chinese as it gets.
Well, it is the French colors for PSG.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
It's the French flag,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you can... What's a good example? I think a good rebrand, a good logo change was the OG logo. I think the old logo and the new logo were like comparable in how good they are. And they're very...
Wait. They were... Huh? How are they any different? Didn't they just add Red Bull and just slightly change the colors?
They were green before, right? So they like changed the colors. They changed, I think maybe they changed the font a little bit, the sizing of things or something, but it was still clearly OG, right?
Oh, sure. Fine.
If you... Okay, imagine this. Imagine you're a Dota fan and you follow LGD and you're like, I love LGD. And you go away for half a year and you come back. Mm-hmm. And you see the logos for all the teams at TI, for example. Would you think it's LGD if you weren't told, is my question. You see the logos.
I mean, here's the thing.
That's a problem, right?
That's
just a problem.
When I saw this and it was announced, I looked at the logo knowing it was LGD, and I might be a goddamn idiot. It took me quite some time to see the actual L, G, and D. The G,
okay, that didn't take me that long.
The L is the blue. I had trouble with the D because I was expecting it to be uppercase. That's what got me. It's a lowercase D.
Which makes no sense because it's an uppercase D in their name.
Yes.
Is it a lowercase D?
It looks like a lowercase d to me. So the other thing, the reason I was really struggling is I thought the entire arch was supposed to be the uppercase D sideways. I'm like, this is fucking awful. Like, oh no, it's a lowercase d. Okay, that technically makes sense. I mean, for me, I think this is a logo. This is a perfect example of trying too hard. They're looking at other logos like, oh, we just need to make a logo that, can be, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. I'm not going to even pretend to know what they were thinking, but I think it's way too convoluted, way too try hard, looks like garbage.
And I also, I think even if you wanted to keep the logo the way it is, this is obviously a little hard for, well, I guess nobody is looking at the logo right now, but if you are looking at the logo while listening to this, currently the circle around the logo is blue. Gaming is blue, and then the L of LGD is blue, and then the GD is red. There's like this weird.
The D should be red. The D should be blue as well, right?
I'm a big fan of symmetry, and I know that there's a lot to be said about beauty and asymmetry as well and stuff. But I think in this kind of logo, this just throws me off the way the coloring is, because it looks like the L is a letter, and then the GD is its own entity. You know what I mean?
Right.
It looks.
Yeah.
The D should either be blue or a different color entirely, so that the elements are separate. That would also make it easier to read. Then you could read it, right?
No,
if this was a different color, like if you look at this, if I give this logo to somebody who's never heard of Dota before, and I ask them to tell me what does it say, I think everybody will say it says LGJ. I really think so.
LGJ? Okay, I can see that.
They can see the L because it's blue, so they can separate that from the rest of the logo. And then they will probably see the G after that, and then they'll see a J.
So you think that people would think that's an L?
Gaming LGJ.
Even just the L. You think somebody that's never seen this logo, knows nothing about esports, you think they think that's an L? That just looks like...
I mean, what else would it be, right?
I mean...
It's a blue letter, clearly, and it's... I don't know.
It's a backwards J. That's what it looks like to me.
I guess so. They ask me first off, is the logo mirrored?
All right, so you're not a fan. Right. I'm surprised. I'm surprised
personally
you don't
not
like
really. You thought I would like this?
I just never heard you like go ham on anything before. This is refreshing. So thank you.
It's like, I don't know if your wording of they're trying too hard is my conclusion on it. I just think my question is why here? Like, what was the what was the purpose of this? Like, what does it help? If you're trying to rebrand or make things more exciting and fresh, that's fine. But it needs to be recognizable, right? At first glance, you have a huge name,
right,
in Dota that has a really big fan base. They need to be able to tell that it's you playing, and like have this connection with your brand, right? And I think that kind of goes away from that. Okay, I can transfer this over into the next one, because the other logo you want to talk about is obviously the EG logo.
Yeah.
So here is the reason that I think the EG rebranding is less bad than this one. I also don't really like the new EG logo, to be honest. I think the old one was super iconic. But at the very least, what we've seen so far with the new one, it's recognizable. It says evil geniuses. It's fucking right there, okay?
So you're saying it's a positive that you can read it.
Yes.
Okay.
If you go away
That's
from
fair.
Dota for a year and you come back and you're like, I used to watch EG, are they still around? And you see this logo that literally says evil geniuses. You're like, okay,
I would
know
actually
this
think
org.
that this is just some like random Redditor that tried to remake the logo for them and failed horribly. Like, that's not their actual logo, right? That's what I would think initially if I was away from the scene for a long time.
I kind of have the same problem with this as I do with LGD. You know, you're trying to reinvent yourselves, which is fine. I just think they're going too far. Like, you could have taken the old EG logo, and if you wanted a new spin on it, you could have been a little creative with that logo, but still keeping that like circular EG, and then spice it up, right? Instead of totally revamping it, similar to LGD. But the one brownie point they get here is
that they can
you can tell. You can tell which team it is, right? I mean, in a way, it's I don't know if I'm being too harsh here, but I honestly think people don't know that this is LGD's logo. If they aren't like really into following Dota, they will wonder who's this new Chinese team. Like, what's the point of branding then if people don't know who your brand is?
I think I understand more. This is actually weird. I'm going to disagree with you here. From LGD, I don't like the logo. Don't get me wrong, but I understand why they would want to rebrand, because Their old logo was just LGD, very boring. Then they got bought out by PSG, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't really do anything with that. They just have the PSG logo and then LGD. They want to combine them in a way that's, once you're used to it, it's recognizable. I think they did a terrible job at doing that, but I understand why they did it. EG, on the other hand, I don't know why they're doing it. Their logo was considered one of the best of all time. It's iconic, like you said. And this V, what the fuck happened with this V? It looks god awful. So here's the funny thing, though, is it's become a meme now, right? All these other teams are like, oh, here's my logo, guys, and it's everything in MS Paint, and EG's trying to play along, and you can't. I understand why you're trying to play along, but dear God, this logo is so bad. But having said that, syndereN, this is the hilarious part. I'm going to read some tweets out for you, and then we'll discuss it. Okay?
I'm ready.
So for people that don't know, the original creator, the founder of EG, who does not work for them or is not a part of them anymore, is named Alex Garfield. Okay, he got bought out when Twitch and Amazon merged. I don't know. It was the whole thing.
Yes.
Something happened, right? So he got bought out. He was no longer part of the company. So from then on, actually, I want to see exactly what the CGO is named Phil. And we've interacted with quite a bit. He used to be the manager back in the day for EG, all that good stuff. And now he's basically the guy running things. I know they have a CEO as well. I don't know how their architecture works, but who cares? This is the conversation on Twitter. Alex Garfield tweets, clearly, some people have forgotten how and why Evil Geniuses came to be in the first place. And even more clearly, the story of how and why it came to be where it is now has gone silent for far too long. That is a very interesting tweet all by itself, because I've heard that there's a lot of drama on what happened in terms of the buyouts and all that good stuff. I haven't heard the details personally, but I know there's some shit, right? Some people got really rich. Some people got fucked in the ass. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, In Control, who passed away this year, I could be wrong. This is what I've heard. He got fucked pretty bad as well. I don't know if it's true.
I seem to remember there being some drama with that, In Control. That sounds like something I remember.
I think it was more, this is just going off a tangent. I think it was more about something like StarCraft was what built EG, but then Dota got popular, and then Dota kind of took it over, and that's when Peter Pan Dam took over as CEO temporarily. Anyway, that's another thing. So the response to Alec Garfield's tweet is a bunch of tweets. Should I read all of them?
That's going to take a while. Can paraphrase it. I think the essence of it, concluding on it, is pretty simple, right?
Okay, well, let me read the first couple at least. It's not every day, this is Phil's tweet, it's not every day that your personal hero puts you on blast for the world to see. So please forgive me for the time it took to find the words for you. Here's a tweet storm I hope you and EG fans will all read. Alex, I love you, and I, more than anyone who carries the EG name now, fucked up the delivery. You may not own EG anymore, but you'll always have some ownership of it, to me and to everyone. You and all of our fans who hold their own part of EG in their hearts felt a lot of anguish when we rolled out something that took you by surprise in a way that had everything to do with what was missing and not what was unveiled. I'm super proud of what we unveiled, for the record, and I stand for it so hard, and our team is excited to tell new stories and with this look and feel. So he goes on to essentially say that the old logo, the original logo, was meant to get a retouched version, and they just didn't finish it on time, which first reaction, I don't know if it's true or not. First reaction is that there's no way that's true. And that's just a way to kind of help the PR department, if you will, get back on track. What do you think?
I mean, it is possible that it's possible that they have this thing that is now perceived as the logo was supposed to be. How do I put this into words? Your team can have a crest or a logo, but then your org also has a name that is separate from it. That could be, for example, the best way I can explain this is, let's imagine you have a player video where the intro says Evil Geniuses, and then the player has the jersey on it with the crest of Evil Geniuses. So that this name thingy is just a nameplate, and the logo is something else. The problem is that the way they announced it and the way they launched it, it really does look like it's the logo. It's currently the avatar of their Twitter account, for example. Right. If they had put it as the header image, but then had kept the EG logo as the avatar, it would look like it was exactly that, right? It would look like it was a header image kind of thing, or a pre-video kind of thing to just show evil geniuses. This is their content, and then you still have the crest. And I think that might be what they're going for, and the logo isn't ready, but the way it was launched makes it look like this is the new official EG logo. Which jerseys are they playing in at one Esports right now?
Couldn't tell you.
Do they have new jerseys on? Because I
saw what the jerseys look like. They also did not look very good, in my opinion.
But which logo do they have?
Right. I don't think they had. I could be wrong. I don't want to say anything that might be wrong.
Because it's speculation anyway. We'll have to wait and see what they do. I don't think they just keep what they have right now. They're going to do something about it.
Yeah, we'll see. The thing that actually bothered me more than the logo was the hashtag, actually. Everybody had these hashtags, like OG was Dream Green, and now it's... What the fuck was it? I don't know what it is now. They're not green anymore, so whatever. Dream OG, I think. I thought EG's original hashtag was one of the best. And it was really good. Bleed Blue. That's fucking really good. That's like one of the best of all time. They have changed it now, which of course doesn't mean they can't just change it back. They should. Now it is Live Evil. And if I'm not mistaken, there's no spaces. So my first question is, first of all, that's terrible. That's not a question. That's just a statement. But question, why not just share the E? That's the first thing that popped in my head. Why there have to be two E's right next to each other? It just looks so weird. Live Evil. Is it what? Why would I? Do I want to live evil? I don't get what the message is. It just seems
evil backwards is live, Shannon.
Oh, you're right. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, it looks like I am the idiot. Still sucks. syndereN. Okay, no. That actually makes less sense. That's why you should share the E. Why are there two E's then?
Why are you asking me? I don't know.
syndereN,
I think Bleed Blue was amazing. I am stuck with the same. I'm stuck with the same question as I am with LGD. Why? Like, I just don't know if, from a business perspective, this is a good thing to do. I don't have the insight. I don't have the understanding. I don't have a business education. It just seems super counterintuitive to me that you have a really powerful brand with a really powerful slogan or tag or hashtag or line, whatever it is, and you just kill it off. Like, from what it looks like, they removed one of the most iconic logos and one of the most iconic tags.
I mean, let's be real. They're going to bring it back. They're going to bring both back.
Maybe, but again, is this just a stunt, or do people genuinely think that this can add value? I'm just like, you give me your story. How can this add value to do this?
There's no way. I gave you the story in LGD, and I'm saying it again. I understand why they did it. They didn't execute it well. I don't know why EG did this. It makes no sense. I can't think of one reason.
Everybody is talking about it. It's getting a lot of attention to the EG brand. I don't know. You know the good old saying with there's no such thing as bad publicity or whatever, right? Or it's better than no publicity.
Right.
Is the saying. Is that where we're at? Is this like I just don't really believe that this was a plan all along, right? Let's make up something that's going to make people think we suck, and then we'll just be like, we're going to change it back, and then we got PR out of it. Like,
well, here's
I don't really
the thing.
buy that version.
There is a way. I don't know how stubborn they're going to be. Do you remember when, I don't know if you even remember this, when I was in middle school, this was a long time ago, Nike. Do you know what I'm going to say here? You know what Nike's slogan is?
Just do it.
Just do it. They changed the slogan. Do you know what they changed it to? Very briefly.
Don't do it.
Incorrect. It was changed to I can. So they came out with that. It got completely trashed, and then they went back to just do it, and it's been just do it since again. They can do the same thing. I mean, I don't think the thing I think they'll do is obviously they'll bring back that original logo and integrate it into their god-awful new logo. And I do think that they will keep their horrifically bad hashtag. That is my prediction. But we'll see. Bleed Blue is... Hey, if there's any teams out there that have a blue color in your logo, take that Bleed Blue hashtag immediately. I am telling you, it is fucking good. That is really good.
Team Liquid just takes Bleed Blue right now. That would be so funny.
LGD can technically take it. They have some blue in there. It's some good publicity.
Bleed France.
Yeah, why not?
They've had EG and Liquid have a long history. Man, that would be the biggest fuck you if you're taking their hashtag.
It's not really. I wouldn't blame them.
Man.
Why wouldn't you? Realize what's actually good.
There's absolutely no way that's a good movie.
I would,
but it sounds fun. It sounds fucking.
All right, let me ask you this: if I had a team with Blue in it, do you think I would do it?
No,
you're kidding. I would 100%.
I actually don't think you would do it.
I think
you would get really. I think it would be really bad PR for your team. Like it shows lack of creativity, and you're kind of. What's that called? Tail writing? Is that the word for it? Tailgating?
Tail writing, sure.
Is it called tail writing?
Yeah. I'm not saying. So that's an example of bad publicity is good publicity, in my opinion. That's a really good example.
Yeah, if you're a new org, it gives a lot of attention to you, I guess. So that's.
If I still had DC, the original DC, I would change just to get this hashtag. I would change the colors from purple orange to blue orange, which are Nick's colors, but that's okay, and bleed blue. Okay, that's what's happening.
I don't know, man. This doesn't sound like a good move to me. I'll be honest,
guys. If there's anybody out there with a lot of money, I have some great ideas for a team. Okay, just hit me up.
Bleed blue.
Okay, let's move on. So we don't need to discuss this for too long, but I just would want to mention some things with Dota Underlords has been obviously, I don't know if it's a disaster, but it's not like artifact level in terms of player base, but it has been dropped steadily. Not that many players right now. They will be coming out with an update this week with another Underlord named Joel. And something that we haven't mentioned is in the past they came out with a new mode called Knockout. Have you played Knockout?
I have not, but I believe it's something like every player has 4 lives, right? So if you lose 4 times, you're out.
Yes, and you start
that's all that matters.
You start with that gives you 3 choices of a composition that it comes with. It's just randomized. It's actually very intuitive, very easy. Games it could be literally 2 minutes long, or it could be like up to 10 minutes. At first, I was like, this is for the casuals, whatever. syndereN, past 3 days, I've been playing like nonstop. I can't stop playing. I don't know why. Been playing on my phone. I go to the bathroom. Hey, it's something to do now. No more reading. Time to play some Knockout. It's good times. I've been enjoying it.
I think
you only need 2 units, by the way, to make another star. So technically, you need 4 units to get a 3-star only. So it's very easy to get 3 stars. Super fast paced.
No, you need 6, right? Or do you only need 2? No, you only need 2 stars for a 3-star. Okay. Oh. I don't know. I think what's more interesting about this whole thing is the reason Underlords is struggling that they're doing a bad job, or is the genre just a fad in general?
I think the genre mostly. Yeah.
Because we've been excited about these Underlords changes, except the art style, which I criticized a while back, that I didn't like that they changed that too much. Are you seeing a pattern here with me not liking change in the way things look?
Boomer? Yep.
Yeah, that's apparently a boomer thing now. I don't know. These things got me excited. We played this party game together that was really fun. I haven't touched the game since, and I can't put my finger on it. I just don't have that drive that makes me go oh yeah, I definitely want to play a game of Underlords right now. It just maybe it's because I'm playing a lot of World of Warcraft Classic and I'm having fun with that. And if I didn't have that other secondary game, maybe I would be playing more Underlords. I don't know, but it just doesn't have the same pull for me as something like Dota does. And it did for a while. I had a lot of fun with Underlords for a while, and then I just kind of stopped playing it. And I would imagine it's the same for a lot of people. In the game, they're adding a lot of stuff that we think is cool, but I just don't know if it's done. How's TFT doing, for example?
I think
if their player base is steadily declining, if that's dropping off too,
And to be fair, that I think the numbers in that game were just far bigger because of 2 reasons. Number one, it's Riot, and they'd never made another game to that point, right? This was before all the announcement of the other games, so that got a lot of people excited. And number 2, they paid streamers to play. That's just how it's going to be. I think another thing that they maybe regret is these staggered updates. They've had these quote-unquote big updates, and there have been some people that have kind of gone to the files and seen that there's a lot more stuff that they're planning to do. Maybe, I don't know why. I guess they just don't have enough in the team to actually put them out all at once. I have no idea. But
not sure.
There's another big update coming. This is the one with the Underlord, and there's another Underlord coming out at some point. And Season 1 hasn't even come out yet with the actual Battle Pass where they can actually make money. I don't know if you can revitalize it. it's going to be a tough one.
I'm wondering if the way you I'm wondering if you can get enough traction for this game with the game itself, or if it needs something else in the game than just the chess mode, you know? If chess just isn't enough for a standalone game, it was a custom game in Dota. It had a lot of playing there. It was a custom game back in... Was auto chess a thing in Dota 1?
No.
I don't know, actually. So it was in... The first time this came out was in Dota 2, right? A version of this kind of thing was Dota 2.
Yes, I believe
custom
so.
game.
Yes, it's the first of its
And
kind.
we got a huge surge in player base in Dota 2, and then it started falling off. And I think it started falling off even before these standalone games came out.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this kind of game is big enough on its own compared to if it's a side mode in a game like in Hearthstone, where they're adding this as a side product, right?
Right.
Blizzard have chosen to do it as like this auto battler as a side thing you can play in Hearthstone. If Valve should try to... I mean, at this point, I think you can't really do it anymore, but there was speculation back then that they would buy auto chess and make it inside Dota, right?
Mm.
If that was the path you should have taken, if people overexpected how powerful this kind of game mode would be, because like we've talked about in previous episodes, it kind of is at some point. I mean, there is skill to it. I'm not going to say there isn't skill, but it is a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again with relatively minimal feeling of, hell yeah, I really outplayed that guy. And I think that is what people love about other video multiplayer games that keeps them coming back, is those moments of satisfaction where you beat someone, whether it's a cool headshot in CSGO or you threw an amazing grenade and it set you a team up to get the bomb site, or in Dota, if you get a triple kill with a cool spellcast. That satisfaction just isn't there in auto battlers the way I see it. You just can't get that moment, right?
When I get that 3-star, I'm feeling it.
Because you're not really the one playing the units. And I just think that's a huge limitation that I don't know how you combat that and overcome that. Because the fun thing in the start is exploring and learning the game and getting those units for the first time and seeing them in play. But then I feel like there's just huge diminishing returns pretty quickly on, I've seen all of this before. It's just happening again.
I think there's definitely outplay ability, though. Like, I understand what you're saying. It's limited compared to other genres, but like being able to change alliances at a moment's whim, or choose a specific unit to help you versus another matchup, or just changing your actual composition in terms of where they're placed.
It's way more subtle, is my point.
It is.
Like the outplays are not these like moments. It's like it's deeper strategic outplays, which can be very like enjoyable. I just think it's for a very small minority of people that this is something that they will keep coming back to because they really love these like mind outplays. People like seeing shit get destroyed. That's also why these games are not really good spectator sports, I think. That's another limitation that might be hurting them, is it's hard to make it an esport, I think, because how interesting is it to watch for a year? Maybe this is fun to watch for a month, but a year down the line, would you still watch Underlords tournaments? I don't know. Like, and I'm not just being negative for the sake of it because I'm like, oh, I hate this game. I like this game. I don't know what you can do to keep people engaged, and I think that's the problem that Riot, Valve, and probably in the long run Blizzard are struggling with. I just think Blizzard might be lucky in this instance that they were late, because they might have allocated the least resources to what might just be a fad, right?
Right.
So that's a bit of it. It's a shame, really, because the game had promise, but you can also clearly see the weaknesses down the stretch, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll have to wait and
I
see
took like a month
solve
off. I hadn't played, and I would recommend anybody that hasn't played, that has played previously but haven't played recently. Knockout is, I think, a lot of fun. It's just very casual. Play it on your phone. And I never wanted to play actual Underlords on my phone because I didn't want to lose. It's a 40-minute game. There's a lot of reasons why, but it's very good in this mode. Okay, moving on. The Game Awards, syndereN. Wait, you wrote?
Yeah.
Why did you write?
I wrote it down here, but I talked about it earlier. It's fine.
Okay. The Game Awards occurred. Got a lot of viewership. We won't be going through a lot of things that happened, but we'll mention 3 briefly. Number 1, PlayerUnknown, who is known for PUBG, obviously, will be making a new game called Prologue, and there's absolutely no information on it. So there's that. Any thoughts on the trailer? Did you see the trailer?
Well, is the game called Prologue, or was this is a prologue?
The game is called Prologue. Yes.
Do we know this? Or is it just a PR stunt and then they will call it EG in the end?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. So we'll see what that ends up being. We'll talk about that whenever that's actually released. So in terms of the awards themselves, the two that we'll mention is Esports Game of the Year was League of Legends. The other games in that category were Fortnite, Overwatch, Dota 2, and Counter-Strike Go.
Okay.
I don't know. We don't need to talk about this for too long. Any general thoughts? I feel like we've talked about this a lot.
I want to talk about the best team as well, and then just encapsulate this in one. So the best esports team, go ahead, announce the winners.
The winner of the best esports team of the year is G2 Esports. The losers are Astralis, OG, San Francisco Shock, which I'm sure is an Overwatch team, horrible name, and Team Liquid. What do you think?
Okay, so it sounds like League of Legends is the pull. G2 is a very strong team in League of Legends, and League of Legends won Game of the Year. Okay, can I ask, what are the criteria that you win by? Did they announce that? Like, what makes you win? Because if you make an award like this and there's no criteria for how you win, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, what's the criteria for Academy Awards?
Wait, which ones? You mean the Oscars?
Yeah.
For example?
It's just good actor, good actress, good director.
Yeah, like a standout movie in the field of movies, right? Or a standout performance individually.
So can't you apply that to the esports game of the year?
I mean, I suppose you can. Yeah. I don't. I don't know why it feels different to me. Maybe it's just because it's this new in gaming compared to in movies that it has more of a history. But would you follow if I say that this is more like comparing apples to oranges than it is in movies? Does that make sense to you? That's how I feel about it a bit.
It's a little bit,
because I know movies
vague.
are also super different and they have very different directions. Like movies can be fun, they can be tragic, they can be whatever. Like it can be totally different styles.
I understand.
But
I was just giving you a hard time.
I feel like in gaming, like, how do you? I don't know. Like,
I think the team of the year is more like the Academy Awards, and then esports game of the year, that means nothing to me. That actually means nothing. Like, does that mean what got the most viewership?
I don't know.
What got the most prize pool?
It kind of blow. It's right there in your face, right? This is League of Legends, right? It's League of Legends wins Game of the Year. League of Legends team wins Esports Team of the Year. But why did they win? Did they win because they're better? Why did G2 win Esports Team compared to the team that won TI as a repeat? Why did they win? Is it because it's a huge accomplishment to be close to winning Worlds as a Western team nowadays? Is it because they stood out compared to their region usually performing within this game, which is then also coincidentally the winner of the Game of the Year? Or
I'm gonna
I don't know. Like,
I'm gonna say something that's gonna be controversial.
Okay.
I'm not saying that G2 Esports should have won or should not have won. I know fucking nothing about League of Legends, okay? Only reason I've heard of G2 is from Hearthstone, honestly.
Right.
I actually agree that OG should not have gotten Esports Team of the Year. Now,
who do you think should?
From Dota?
No, just esports team, right? Because this is the other thing about this is, do you get more qualified to be esports team of the year the more divisions you play in, right? Let's say you're an org that plays 10 games and OG plays 1. They could win everything in Dota, but then there's another org that has won 3 titles in CS, 3 titles in Dota, 3 titles in Minecraft, you know?
Right.
Like, what makes the better team? Is it the individual standout moment, or is it the number of wins?
I think number of wins is huge. Like Team Liquid just has so many teams that it's almost, that's another thing, right? You have so many different, you have more resources to have more teams, so it's actually not a fair fight in a lot of ways, if that makes sense.
I personally think if we look at which team did the most within their game, which I think just, again, it says esports team. It's not individual game team, right? But just the team, I think there's a lot objectively to be said that Astralis just hands down wins this category. Like,
Astralis, I thought was going to win this when I first saw it.
They won like 10 LANs in a year. They had the most ridiculous streak, and that was this year. It was 18 to 19. They had like the most ridiculous year. nobody has ever had a performance compared to that in CSGO. I don't know if there's been something similar in Dota. I can't remember it. Even the most dominant periods, nobody did what Astralis did in CSGO, and they still didn't win. So again, what's the criterion? What makes you the best esports team? There's no way G2 esports were as strong as Astralis were.
Do you Do you agree that OG should not have won?
I think among this field, I would have picked Astralis.
So the reason I'm saying OG should not have won,
I think they were the most impressive team this year.
I think you can't pick. I mean, OG wins 2 TIs. That's never been done. Technically, that's over a 2-year period. You're going just based off this last year for these awards. But even if you include that, they didn't really play in any other tournaments, I feel like. Like, they literally took half the year off. They're taking it again. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think that should hurt you for these awards. And I'm not saying 2 TIs is not impressive, but again, it's just based off the last year, and you barely played, right?
I would just like to have maybe more categories where there's like a category for
best 2-time winner. OG would
outstanding performance of the year or something like that, right? That should have been Astralis or or OG. You could make a case for OG because it was pretty outstanding the way they kind of came back from a total slump to win TI a second time, which is incredible, right?
Yeah.
That's also an outstanding performance. I am okay with them not being the esports team, but I feel like it's also about how much weight do you want to put on this. Like, if you're into gaming, like if you really follow gaming, you're going to be, the more you understand about gaming, the less you're going to care about this, probably, in a way, right? But this makes headlines for people that aren't so much into gaming, and it's obviously huge promotion for League of Legends. And then the question is that fair? That's the real, if I have any problem with that, it's this, that my mom, let's say her, for example, she doesn't really follow gaming. This is the kind of thing she might hear about, because there were the official gaming awards, and League of Legends won, so that has to be the best game, right?
Did your mom say "fuck you, syndereN"? Get fucked?
Doesn't she called me right away. She was like, "Did you see LOL 1?" No, I mean, I don't know. Like, the classic thing with all of these awards is you don't know if stuff is paid for. You don't know what the criteria are. Does it really matter? It makes headlines. It makes people talk. That's good, right? But yeah, it's also hard to be objective about this, right? Who's the jury? Who decides who won?
I mean, to be fair,
is it somebody who plays League? Then of course,
even with
pick Dota,
even with a more understanding behind the criteria of like the Academy Awards, there's always drama every year, right? Why did this guy win? Why did this guy not win? Like, it just happens. A lot of it just comes down to opinion. Sure. And
absolutely,
you're right. Like, this is in its infancy, but the fact that it got so much viewership, I think, is great for esports as a whole. So.
Absolutely, I'm not complaining that there's an award show. I have no problem with that. I think it's great. I would love to have a bit more of an understanding of what awards are given based on. Because again, to draw your parallel to the Academy Awards, I feel like it's clearer, actually. Even if there's no like defined category, they give it to each individual role, right? It's like best lead actor is a category, right? And best director, best movie or whatever. I don't remember all of them.
Well, best actor and best actress. They actually separate
best
the men and the women.
Actress, right? And best makeup is one, right? And then there's best. Editing.
There's a lot of different. You're gonna name all the awards.
No, but
there's a lot of them.
I think there's a lot to be said about that, though, right? Is that you're recognizing individual aspects of the craft. Mm-hmm. And you're not really doing that with esports awards if these are the ones. I mean, maybe you just handpicked these point. 2 and there were like 15 different awards.
My point is that there's a lot of bias still in the Academy Awards, and there's some, like, I think they've gone on record for a few awards that just should not have ever won. It's such a joke looking back, and a lot of it's based off of just
happen, of course.
Influences from the general public or people buying an award. I don't know if that's ever happened in the Academy Awards, but I'm sure it happens in some of these things. Anyway, let's move on.
It happens in other award shows that you buy an award.
Yeah.
And that, like, whatever, man.
I want to buy an award, please.
Yeah.
One day I can afford one. One other thing that was announced in the Game Awards, which was to everyone's shock because this is something that did not leak. If anybody's heard of the Xbox, or the Project Scarlet is its code name, the upcoming Xbox that will compete with the PS5. It was announced and shown. It is called, for whatever fucking reason, I shouldn't even be surprised anymore, the Xbox Series X. Now, before we get into this, syndereN, Before we get into this, I want to go through every single name iteration that Xbox has come out with. Now, keep in mind, I bought the first 3, okay? And I regret it so fucking hard now. I feel like I'm such an idiot for buying these things. They're all garbage, by the way. I hate them. First is the Xbox, which was fine. I think that was actually whatever. It's called the Xbox. You get used to it. It came a year after the PS2. I chose to wait for the Xbox for whatever fucking idiotic reason at the time, and I regretted it. Then the next one, instead of Xbox 2, they called the Xbox 360. Now, I know people have gotten used to this name by now, but this is one of the worst fucking names of all time. A 360 means you turn around and you're in the same spot as before. Is it supposed to be like a 360 no scope? Is that what they're trying to do? They don't want to, hey, it's the PS3 and the Xbox 2. Does that make you sound worse because you're a 2 instead of a 3? Xbox 360 is going to go down as one of the worst names of all time in any fucking, in the world. Whatever it is. Doesn't matter what category. It's horrible. It's worse than the Evil Geniuses rebrand. It's worse than LGD. Xbox 360 was garbage. Okay. How can they top the Xbox 360? How could they make it worse? You go from, Xbox to Xbox 2. No, it's 360. Xbox 360 to Xbox One. Holy shit. Why did I buy this? The Kinect stopped working after 6 months. This is one of the worst names of all time as well. Microsoft has done it again. Two of the worst names ever.
It's your own fault for buying an old console. You bought the One as the third one. Why didn't you buy the third one?
Because I'm a goddamn idiot. Okay, never again. So,
you should buy Xbox 360. It's going to last you for hundreds of years before they catch up with that.
They go from Xbox to Xbox 360 to Xbox One. Then they come out with a couple iterations, by the way, called the Xbox One S, then the Xbox One X. And what do they choose for their next iteration? The brand new console coming next year, Xbox. I have to actually read it because I can't even believe it's real. The Xbox Series X, otherwise known as the Xbox Sex, syndereN. This somehow becomes even worse than the other 2 names. They've topped themselves again. Unbelievable how fucking
what would
shitty
you
these
have
names
called
are.
it? How about you just give a good suggestion? What should they have called
Xbox Eat My Shit is literally better than Xbox Series X. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter what the name is. Xbox Scarlet. That was their project name, yeah. Project Scarlet. That's a great name. Okay. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, and then they could have made it that color too.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about the name in a second. They also released what it looks like. It's literally a computer. It's a huge fucking case. It's vertical. You can apparently make it horizontal, but for most people, I shouldn't say most, for a good number of people that have the Xbox hooked up to their TV and they have like some, little area for it to sit on, it won't even fit, even if it's horizontal. It's fucking huge. It's a computer. What are your thoughts on everything I've ranted about?
I don't really care about consoles.
I hate you. Why can't you?
I just don't fucking care. I'll be honest. The only console I have bought and owned in my life was a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color. No, I actually didn't even buy those. My parents did. I have never owned a PlayStation. I have never owned a Nintendo console. My girlfriend has a Nintendo 64. She bought a Switch. We're currently borrowing a PS4, mainly because she wanted to play Bloodborne. I just don't really like console gaming. I'll be honest.
syndereN,
I prefer every game I have played on both console and PC was better on PC. Zero exceptions. All of them. They're just better.
You're incorrect on that. Now, first I want to mention that there was a little nugget here in the beginning where we did the reviews when somebody called you uncultured and we said that's definitely not true. You just said you've never owned an actual console. I'm sorry. You might be a PC guy. I'm a PC guy. I started as console. That's my roots. All right. You're uncultured for that alone. If you never had the original PlayStation was a masterpiece.
I played Pokemon Yellow and I liked it on the Game Boy. I liked it, Shannon. I thought it was great. I loved my Game Boy games, and Game Boy was a console that I liked and that I had. I don't have a problem playing on consoles. Okay. I don't have a problem with it.
Some games are better on console. Let's be real. You can hook up a controller to your computer, then it's the same.
I prefer playing Dark Souls with mouse and keyboard, for example. And a lot of people are going to call me an absolute idiot.
Third-person game?
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are usually better with controller.
It's
But I can see that being fine. I think sports games better on controller. Period. Simulation games in general better on controller or joystick. Period. No exceptions. Racing games, same thing.
I'm really trying to think of a game that I played on console where I was like, damn, it's good this game is on console and not on PC.
I just
For me
told
to
you
play.
you've never played any of those games before, apparently.
I haven't played those games, I think.
Okay. That's good to know.
I'm
Fighting games,
genuinely
thank
trying
you,
to think about it.
Sajidine in the chat.
Actually, I think I can make a case for one thing. There's a game I can think of. I think racing games, maybe.
I just
I
said
would
that.
actually prefer on console.
I just said
Did you say
that.
racing games? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't listening to what you said because you were talking about consoles.
Have you ever played a fighting game before? You like to play on your goddamn
Yes.
keyboard?
I've played fighting games.
And?
Actually, almost only on console. So I can't say because I haven't played them on PC.
What do you mean? There's nothing to discuss. The keyboard is shit for fighting games.
I could see that. Actually,
okay.
you kind of won me over. You've won me over with fighting games.
I won you over by screaming at you. Remember, guys, that's the trick.
Yeah, this is a great analogy for politics nowadays as well.
So I do want to have a real question for you. I know you don't care about this.
You got me with fighting and racing games, Shannon. You're right about those two.
Good.
That's
and
true.
basketball, any sports games. Or FIFA. You never play FIFA?
Who the fuck plays basketball?
FIFA?
I've only played...
I forget you're not a soccer guy. Yeah.
I had FIFA 99 on the computer.
Okay, well, whatever.
Back
so, Xbox Series X. What do you think of the name? It's going to be called Xbox Sex. 100%. People are already saying it.
I genuinely, with all of my heart, really don't fucking care.
syndereN, you don't seem to understand the question. Okay, I'm not asking if you care about the console.
You're asking me what I think. I'm saying I don't even think.
Is a multi-billion-dollar company. They own the world. They owned the world for quite a while until Apple kind of stuck it to them. Microsoft repeatedly making horrible branding names and are sticking with it. Why? Like, I should be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised anymore because it's happened time and time again.
No,
but it makes no sense to me why you would fuck this up so bad. Just come up with one cool name. One.
I think Scarlet sounds kind of nice.
I know.
I like the name of that. Xbox Scarlet.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe it's too
name.
long or something.
Yeah, Xbox Series X is shorter.
It's true. They're not calling it Xbox X. Why aren't they calling it that?
Because there's already been there's an Xbox One X. That's why. People get it confused.
Oh.
All right, anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I wouldn't know that. Oh, actually, I would. You told me earlier. But yeah, I wasn't really listening. So
Yeah, we've established that. So thank you.
Okay.
I really appreciate it.
All right, I will. If you really are fishing for an answer, I think this name doesn't make any sense and it's pretty boring.
And it doesn't make you angry. I feel
like you could have come up with... either it doesn't really make me angry because, like I said, I'm not really invested into it. But I think PlayStations, right? What have they been called? PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? That's the ones that have been there.
syndereN,
right?
I'm on a random word generator, okay?
Okay.
The first word that comes up, I guarantee you, will be better than Xbox Series X.
I'm
okay?
ready.
It's going to be
I'm
Xbox
ready.
something.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Number of words, 1. Generate random word. The Xbox Ton. Ton. That is better than the Xbox.
It's actually pretty fitting with how heavy it sounds like it is.
Xbox Ton. I like it. Let's try one more just to make sure that RNG doesn't have us. The Xbox. This is perfect. This is actually as bad. The Xbox continuation. syndereN. It makes sense. It makes more sense than the Xbox Series X. It's a continuation of your last one. All right. That'll deal with the Xbox combo.
No, we're not done yet.
Okay, please.
PlayStation has been PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4, right?
And 5 coming up, yes.
5 coming up, okay. Is there a downside to that? Do people not know what the newest one is when they want to buy one? Is that a problem? Does it not sound too exciting because, it's just another one? And maybe Microsoft is like, that's the thing here, because I could understand to an extent if you wanted to be creative and make it sound new and spicy instead of just going a line of numbers from 1 to 5, right? But it's not new. The thing that they're saying is the same. Huh?
Everything okay, syndereN?
Xbox came out after PlayStation, and therefore they would always have been behind. That's what Susie just said. You mentioned that too. They couldn't
I
call it
did mention
Xbox 2
that.
because there was PlayStation 3.
I
And
mean, they
that's
could
fine,
have,
but
I
if
don't
you
think
want to
that's a
be
problem.
creative and make it new, why do you call it X? That's not new. That's not creative. It's the same because it's already called Xbox. So that's what I don't get here. Again, maybe I just don't understand marketing, Shan. Maybe we're just stupid.
Yeah,
we
we're
don't
really
understand
stupid.
the logos.
Hey, they keep selling me on buying
X.
Xboxes. Doesn't matter how bad the name is. I keep buying them for some fucking reason. Never again.
So maybe it's not about the name. Maybe it's about the games that come with it.
PlayStation has better games too. I really want Microsoft to do well. I like Microsoft. I love Windows. Like I hate Apple. It's basically Microsoft or Apple. That was what choice. I chose Microsoft.
Too. Maybe you just
I do.
don't like fruits.
Apples and tomatoes don't go together. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
final topic of the week, syndereN. The VR game Boneworks was released. We talked about this previously, that we were excited about it. For those that don't know, the way that it was kind of portrayed was almost like Half-Life, but not officially Half-Life. It's a first-person game. I bought it, and I want you to tell me what I think of it before I say. Boneworks.
I heard the tone of your voice. It's not what you thought it would be.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
And your score on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is best.
I'm not actually going to give a score because there's no way I can.
I'll try to place you on the ranking, though.
How unhappy I am. 1 to 10. 1 to 10.
9, because you thought it would be great, and it's okay.
So 9 is bad in this scale for some reason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You said how unhappy, then 10 is most unhappy, right?
Okay.
Okay, maybe 8. 8. You don't sound furious. 8.
I'm not furious. I'm very disappointed.
There it is.
And this is why. So I'm not even saying the game is bad. I have no idea how the game is, syndereN. You know why? I played on stream for the first 45. People have complained about this. The first 45 minutes I played through it. By that time, I'm still in the tutorial for some reason. I have not gotten to play the game. By that 45-minute mark, I was very nauseous. So I stopped playing. I'm like, oh boy. I've only experienced that once in VR, and I'll tell you why that happens. So I played it a couple days later. Within the first 5 minutes, I was nauseous. I physically can't play the game. I returned it. I actually got a refund. So my biggest complaint about the game, is that the tutorial is unbelievably long, and I actually didn't know the game was like this. Apparently, it's a puzzle game, and eventually you get to hold like guns and kill stuff. I thought the whole game was your shooting stuff. I thought it was a first-person shooter for some reason. I guess I didn't look too into it, but either way, I physically get nauseous playing because the way that it works in VR. So let's say I'm playing like The Lab, which is a game that Valve made where you like do a bunch of little mini games, or any game for that matter, any FPS. There's a function to teleport yourself forward. Okay?
Right.
That is not disorienting for me. If this game does not have that. It has the actual smooth movement. Like pretend you're playing a PC game normally. That's how it is, except in VR. And it is very disorienting. Like get nauseous super fast. And I know a lot of people have gotten nauseous as well, but some people don't. So I don't know. It's weird. I'm just
the thing I've heard about. I think the biggest. We may have also talked about this some episodes back. The biggest problem of the technology is if it isn't completely crisp, where you feel like there's a direct one-to-one between your movement and the movement in the game, you will get nauseous. I just think so. And that's why it's surprising for me to hear that it's not the same for everybody, because the people that don't get nauseous might be moving differently. Maybe it's because you're moving faster, because you're more of a, you're a more experienced gamer.
I'm a
gamer.
I'm an experienced gamer.
No, but I mean, it might sound a bit elitist, but seriously though, if you think about it, if you're into the game and you understand it very quickly and you want to play fast and do stuff, maybe you are setting yourself up for failure because the movement, you're straining the technology, basically. You're putting it to its limit and you're crossing the line for what it can really handle in terms of how fast you move and what's happening in the game. It's just a theory here. Because if not, I don't understand, like, why would some people not get nauseous and a lot of people would, unless there's some sort of difference in their gameplay, right? I'm
So
not. I'm not completely
I'm trying
sure.
to think. I in terms of motion sickness,
Do
I
you
do
get
not.
car sick?
So here's the thing. I'll give you the scale. I've never gotten
Okay.
car sick in my entire life, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Not even once. I get violently seasick, violent, like really bad seasickness.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So that's probably where it
Yeah.
comes from. And I actually
Right.
later in life, this didn't used to be the case, but as of like 5 years ago, I get nauseous on roller coasters now, depending on what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it could just be a me thing, but I know a lot of people have the kind of the same deal. So overall, I'm disappointed. Not technically in the game. I guess I'm just disappointed that I can't enjoy the game like I wanted to, you know? And I'm kind of afraid because Half-Life Alyx, I was thinking, am I just going to have the same issues? I assume so, but I was reading somewhere and I couldn't find after I wanted to write it down, I couldn't find it again. But some quote to the fact of like something to the nature of Half-Life Alyx will not be as disorienting as Boneworks because Boneworks takes, I forget again how they said it, but they take it to the limit and some people just can't handle it, which I'm one of them. Supposedly
Right.
Half-Life Alyx will not be like that. Either way, I got it for free since I have an index.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say something that I'm overall pretty disappointed in the index, in VR in general, actually.
Right.
I think Beat Saber is a god tier game, and then honestly, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing that I would want to play regularly.
Do you think if the limitations of the technology got removed, like let's imagine that
in my glasses
there was no
or something?
nausea. Let's just
Oh.
imagine that the problems that you have now disappear. Do you think the technology is promising to be better than PC games in theory? Like, do
In
you think
theory,
it can be a
yes.
better experience? Okay.
Yes. So it's two things. Number one is the disorientation, like we talked about.
Mhm.
But the second thing, having this fucking thing on your head is annoying, actually.
Yep.
Even if it's comfortable. Within 5 minutes of playing any game, my head starts to sweat. I have to literally wear a towel. It's like going back to my Saudi Arabian days. I have a fucking towel on my head. And
hitting the gym at home, playing Beat Saber.
It basically, I mean, Beat Saber is a workout for me. But yeah, generally I'm pretty disappointed. Not to mention a lot of the shit that came with it are defective, so I'm having to send them back and forth. It's been kind of a disaster on that front. But hopefully in the future it'll be better. I mean, it has to come down to, number one, the games. You need better games. And number two, the hardware on your face just needs to be more comfortable. Like the fact that there's a cord is a bit annoying. That would be nice if it was wireless, but also if it it's going to be a while, syndereN, but if literally you could wear glasses and that's VR, that would be the dream.
Do you think, I mean, this is obviously kind of absurd, but do you think if the headset weighed nothing that you would get less nausea? Because
Probably
it's
not.
weighing down on your head, right? So while
Yeah.
you're moving, it's like you're wearing a helmet. And I could imagine taking a roller coaster with a helmet on for me would be really uncomfortable. So
I
do you
don't
think
think
that
so.
is another problem, that it weighs as much as it does?
I mean, the weight
And a
thing is
lightweight version
more
could
just being uncomfortable, has less to do with the nausea, I think. Like, for example, the second day when I tried Boneworks, I actually sat on a chair because I thought that would help. It actually made it worse for me for whatever reason.
But that's because, wait, so in the game you're walking, right?
Yeah. You can move I technically don't ever need to move my head if I don't want to.
Right.
So I thought sitting down to make it easier because I don't want to fall down and just, break a hip in my old age.
But then your brain is probably even more fucked by the disconnect between how you're moving in the game and how you're standing in real life. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's super fascinating to me. I honestly just think the technology is incredibly fascinating. And I think, even if you want to go deeper, I think you can learn something about, stuff that the technology maybe wasn't even intended for, like about how we perceive the world and movement, right? I don't know if I've told you about this experience I had at Valve before with trying some of their early iterations of the VR that they did, where they placed me in some different scenarios. Maybe you tried the same one. One of the scenarios, I was placed in an empty space, completely empty. And he said, look around until you see something. So I looked around, I didn't see anything, and then finally looked down at my feet, and I'm standing on one block in an emptiness of space. And he told me, take a step. And I really had to convince myself that I could do this. And then when I took the step, I did it super carefully. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of thing is really, really fascinating, because I think it's something about how our brains work on a deeper level that we can maybe learn. That we can maybe learn from this technology, which I think is super cool. But just as an entertainment system right now, I'm a bit worried about.
Yeah, especially
where
since
it's
it costs so much and you need a good computer to run it. And I mean, endless issues. Anyway,
Yeah.
that is disappointing news on my front, but it is what it is. And that brings us to the end of the episode, syndereN. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate this. Really do. Like a personal favor. Thank you so much. Now,
You're very
having
welcome,
said that,
Shannon.
please tell me you've watched in Bruges. One day. Please. Christmas present, anything.
Okay.
Here we go. The bait and switch.
That's no bait. You know I haven't fucking watched it.
Can you please watch it for Christmas? Please.
I'm trying to think about
It's a
what's
Christmas
a good
movie.
time to watch this. Is it, though? I'm pretty sure this movie has nothing to do with Christmas.
You work from home. There's no excuse. You know how many movies I've watched since I've been asking you to watch in Bruges? By the way, just quick little tidbit here. Watchmen TV series just ended. Not even sure they're having a season 2. Really good. If you get through the first couple episodes, which I thought were kind of meh, it gets really good. It's only 9 episodes. I highly recommend it for people that like.
So if you get through the first 5, which are kind of bad, there's 4 good ones in the end.
It's like 2.5 maybe. I don't remember what it is, but very, very good. Anyway, so in Bruges, syndereN, please, I'm begging you, give me a date.
Shannon, this is one of those things where you're like, you really want this to happen, but then when it does,
I know you're gonna be disappointed.
Then
No.
it's gone.
No, you're
Then the
going to be
moment's
disappointed
gone.
because I've hyped it up too much. We ask you every single week.
you're
You're going to
gonna
come
be
back and say it was
disappointed.
okay.
You're gonna miss the days when you could ask me this question.
No, because I can
You're gonna
ask
be
if you
like,
watch
I want-
Joker. There always will be a movie. That's the point, syndereN. You got to get through them. Then you can see what the next movie will be on the list. Have you seen Joker?
Oh.
You see? You see how this game works? You've
I
never got
see.
past level
No.
1 yet. So this is why you never bought another console, because you can't get past fucking level 1, you idiot. Jesus. All right.
Dude, I was great at Pokemon on the Game Boy.
Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, SUNSfan syndereN signing out.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Don't mess up your logos. See ya.
Xbox sex. We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for
listening.
listening. Yeah.